Johnson, Escobar, and Jones due to follow as we go to the top of the first. Your umpiring crew, Mike Estabrook behind the plate. He barks out a ball one call. Jeff Nelson down at first, Mark Carlson at second, and Tim DeShita, the crew chief, down at third. That's looped down the first base line and foul past Glenn Hubbard, the veteran first base coach for the Atlanta Braves. 10 years he's been patrolling down at first base. Breeze flapping the uniforms on this day. Two balls, one strike to Johnson in a 228. 3 homers, 9 knocked in. That's a little low for a ball. Ryan Hanning getting the start, catching Bronson today. Johnson, an outfielder, moved to second, and he's the leadoff guy on this ball club most of the time. That breaking ball, here we go again. Last night, the starting pitcher, Edinson Volquez, walked 7. He struck out 7, but he walked 7, including 5 in 1 inning. And Arroyo starts with a free pass here.
Well, trust me, Bronson Arroyo will not walk 7 batters this afternoon, but it is important for him to get a feel of all of his pitches early in the ball game. Sometimes pitchers, you come out of the bullpen, it's not working for you, you get on the mound and it works. Sometimes it's the other way around. And for him, at the very beginning of the ball game is very important as far as getting the feel of that breaking ball.
And here's Escobar. Yesterday 0 for 3, but he was hit by a pitch and reached on a walk. That hit by a pitch scenario unloaded both dugouts and both bullpens. And after the game, you really don't know until the game is over if there was a history. And talking to Edinson Volquez, he said, He said, I have no history with Escobar at all. I don't even know him. And why would I want to be hitting him with Chipper Jones coming up next in a close game? There's a dribbler. They'll let it roll. Will it go foul? It finally will. Good decision by Encarnacion. No way he'll throw out the speedy Escobar. Let's take a look, Chris, at that confrontation when he plunked Escobar.
Well, Escobar gets hit a fair amount. And some people speculate it's because he's got a little hot dog in him, that he gets people mad at him because of the way he celebrates his base hits and so on. But they don't know each other. Escobar said the same thing that Volquez said. So there was nothing personal about it, at least as far as we can tell. But what the Braves objected to was the fact that even though Volquez was wild last night, that was the only time he was wild that far in that part of the strike zone, which was inside on a right-hander.
Chipper talked to him this morning before the game. He talked to Escobar after the game, saying he didn't believe there was any intent at all. And of course, Escobar most of the time crowds the plate. He's back a little bit more this year than he was last year. Jones, the leader of this club, saying when you crowd the plate, you're in that tight, you got a good chance of being plunked. But he evaluated it as if it was not intentional. And why would you with Chipper in the on-deck circle? Breaking ball is wide. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, Glenn Hubbard, we were talking about him a second ago, George, and he had a pretty good suggestion. We were talking before the game today and said, why doesn't baseball just adopt the hockey rule that if you leave the bench, you're going to get fined, and significantly. If you put a $1,000 fine on everybody that left the dugout or the bullpen, that would have been a fight between, if there was ever a fight to ensue, between Escobar and Volquez, because no one else is going to go out there and pay that kind of money.
And it didn't really look like Escobar wanted a piece of Volquez anyways. He took a couple of steps and they both jawed at each other a little bit. By then, everybody else was involved. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Down and in for a ball, and it's a full count, 3-2.
But, even though he didn't want a piece of Volquez, you can see how it can escalate to that, because you get hit and immediately you jump up and all of a sudden your endorphins are racing through your body and you want to do something quickly, and you look up and there's a pitcher that drilled you.
This one hit pretty good, left center field, going back, looking up. Dickerson, does he hold on? No, it's off his glove. Here comes Johnson around third. They're sending him to the plate. They've got a shot at him. The throw kicks away, and he'll be safe. A run will score. Escobar will wind up with a double and go to third on the play at the plate. The ball got there just about at the same time, and it kicked away. Here's another look.
Great effort by Chris Dickerson. This ball is a slow curveball that Escobar gets down and hits right off the plate. And Dickerson nearly makes a miraculous catch right there. They bring it on in, and they get it to the relay man, but not in time. That ball was hit. You've got to hand it to Yunel Escobar. He's got a little pop in that bat, and he waited a long time for that low breaking ball, looking for that curveball, and he got it.
So it'll be a 2-base hit. The run scores. Escobar sitting at third as he goes to third on the play at the plate, and the Braves once again have an early lead of 1-0. There's a grounder. That's fair. Chipper Jones has his first hit of the series, and he'll pick up run batted in number 5 on the season. Chipper, who's a career .300 hitter against the Reds. Against Arroyo, he's a career .450 hitter. Make it now 10 for 21.
Well, he wanted that ball inside, did Ryan Hannigan. You see where he was set up. He got it in there, and Chipper pulled it. But unfortunately for the Reds, it was right down the line. Barely fair, but it'll go for a base hit.
So the walk comes back to haunt the Reds here in the first. A double, a base hit, and quickly the Braves are ahead 2-0. Here comes Casey Kochman in at 291. Kochman and Chipper Jones are the two that have had the most success against Arroyo. You see his overall numbers 291, no homers, 4 knocked in. Against Bronson, he's 6 for 12 and a homer. That dates back to their American League confrontations.
Well, if you're Bronson Arroyo right now, you've got to tell yourself, all right, forget about the 2 runs. You can't do anything about those. Let's make believe that you walk Chipper Jones to start the game off, and now you go at it, try to get a double play ball, try to get out of this inning with nothing more on the board.
This is line to right center. That's a base hit. Over comes Harrison. He'll get it in quickly. The runner will hold at second. Here's your 4 defensive alignment for the Reds. You see Willie Taveras gets the day off today. Terry Hairston Jr.'s in center, Dickerson's in left, and as usual, Jay Bruce is over in right. Infield, Encarnacion, Gonzalez, Phillips, Votto as usual, and behind the plate, Ryan Hannigan will catch Bronson Arroyo. That's your 4 defensive alignment for this afternoon encounter in Cincinnati. A walk, a double, a single, and a single. Broken bat, 1 hopper. Gonzo flips it to Phillips, and they'll get the double play.
Well, get the double play ball any way you can, and a sinker in on the hands will do it right there. 6-4-3 action for the Reds, and even though the runner goes to third base, Bronson Arroyo finally getting into maybe of the rhythm of things of getting some outs in this inning.
They charged Gonzalez with the error on that play that allowed the runner to go from second to third. Ball arrived at just about the same time as the runner, and you can see on the replay it was catchable, but a short hop for Hannigan. So runner at third, 2 away, and here comes Matt Diaz. Diaz last night 1 for 4 and a free pass. Just about everybody in the lineup picked up at least 1 walk last evening, including the pitcher Javier Vasquez, who was the beneficiary of Volquez's wildness. Solid offensive performer. The guy with the glove, too. Diaz, an injury-marred season last year. He only wound up playing in 43 games. Fouled off.
Well, he's got a reputation, Matt Diaz does, of being a very good fastball hitter, and you can tell by that swing that he does not get cheated. Struck out a couple of times last night. They're making only in back-to-back at bats in the 4th and 5th inning. But you got to figure now that Arroyo snuck that fastball by him and didn't get hurt, he'll probably go with something off speed, maybe that curveball, and try to freeze him.
He got him. Hannigan will toss it down to first for the final out, but the damage done. A walk, a double, a single by Jones, a single by Kochman, 2-0 Atlanta. strike first. 3 hits and an error by the Reds, and it's 2-0 Atlanta. Let's check the starting lineup for Dusty Baker and the Reds. Chris Dickerson in the leadoff spot. Gary Hairston Jr. bat second, and Joey Votto in the 3-hole. Votto in at 375, 3 homers, 16 knocked in. Brandon Phillips back in the cleanup spot. He's 0 for 6 against Lowe in his career. Jay Bruce in at 243 homers, 9 knocked in, but he's got a 5-game hitting streak. He's been red hot since taking a couple of games off with a hand injury. Edwin Encarnacion, Alex Gonzalez, who picked up career hit number 1,000 yesterday. Brian Hannigan and Bronson Arroyo. Arroyo looking for his first hit of the year. That is your starting lineup, and here's the 36-year-old righty, native of Michigan, living down in Florida, Derek Lowe.
Well, you hate to spot this guy 2 runs, but it's because he's not an easy customer on the mound at all. He keeps the ball in the ballpark, and even though he pitched in Boston for the majority of his career, he's a guy that gets lots of ground balls and not too many over the fence. Brandon Webb and Derek Lowe, 1-2 in ground balls since 2004. And what do ground balls get you? Well, we talk about it a lot. Ground ball pitchers usually give up fewer home runs, but this is the number that I like most of all. It's when you get a double play out of a ground ball. Each of those numbers is worth 2 outs. So since 2004, 128 ground ball double plays for Derek Lowe. It just shows you he lives down around the knees, and if he gets the ball up, you better take advantage of it.
1 ball and 1 strike to Dickerson, facing Lowe for the first time. Dickerson in at 222. I remember when the Reds were moving into Great American Ballpark, the pitching coach for the Reds at that time was Don Gullett. And Gully penciled it in about as well as you could. He said, what do you need in this park? You could use like 3 Derek Lowe's in the starting rotation.
And 2 Brandon Webbs.
Yep.
Or the other way around. I'll buy my playoff tickets right now.
Lowe, of course, first came up to the major leagues in 1997. Swing and a miss. Dickerson's disposed of. Out number 1, strikeout number 1 for Derek. Here's Jerry Hairston Jr. And here's your 4 defensive alignment for the Braves. Matt Diaz is back in left. Jordan Schaefer, the youngster, in center, but he's already shown us a great arm and good speed. Frank Gore, nobody has more outfield assists than him in the last 4 years. Chipper Jones, Escobar, Kelly Johnson, Kochman across the infield, and the former Red David Ross behind the plate. Georgia native catching Derek Lowe. Ryan McCann still experiencing the blurred vision problems. There's Jerry Hairston Jr. in at 172, a homer and 2 knocked in. In his career, 226, 7 for 31 against Lowe. They, of course, matched up in the American League, and now the last couple of years in the National League too. Down to Chipper. Derek Lowe doesn't try to strike you out. He tries to ground you out. More often than not, he's successful in doing it.
Well, George, you know, you forget when you watch him pitch because he kind of bends over in the middle of his windup that he's 6 feet 6 inches tall. He's a big guy, but by the time that he gets ready to release the ball, he's back upright. He uses a great downward plane. He has a quick arm action where he gets it up behind his right ear very quickly, and he just works everything down in the zone. And because he doesn't overthrow, because most sinker ball pitchers aren't really fast pitchers, he's able to be very durable. Guy just does not miss a start. And in my estimation, he was the best free agent pitcher out there. He kind of bends over early there, and then he gets right back up on top, stiff front side, and just flips that ball up there and gets a lot of downward action.
Always had a rubber arm, and when the Red Sox first got him, they in fact put him in the bullpen. In fact, 1 year he had 42 saves. That was back in 2000. Plunked.
Well, you throw at our shortstop, we will throw at your best player.
And there's warning from both sides. Derek Lowe has been one who's stood up for teammates throughout his career. So for whatever happened last night, no matter how you translate it, Derek Lowe sends a message here. Mike Estabrook gives a warning to both benches as Votto is plunked.
Funny how he didn't hit Jerry Hairston and then have to pitch to Joey Votto with a man on base. Derek Lowe not only sticking up for his teammates, but he's also smart.
Oh, by the way, he's smart too. Estabrook issues the warning. And this umpiring crew, well aware of what transpired last night, looking for any signs of a repeat performance today. So here in the first inning, A warning issued to both managers, both benches. Here's Brandon. And the best way to respond to that is to cash it in. Phillips 0 for 6 in his career against Lowe. A homer, 5 knocked in on the young season. After going 3 for 7 in the last 2 games in the number 6 spot, moved back to the 4-hole last night, and as you saw, he was 0 for 3. And you heard a lot, of course, about the switch from starting to bullpen. Dennis Eckersley did that. John Smoltz did that too. In Lowe's case, he came through the minor leagues for 4 years, was a starter in the minors, and then went to the bullpen when the Red Sox needed it. Boy, did he give them a boost in the 88, the 98, 99, and 2000 seasons. And Chris, you said you thought maybe the best free agent available, and part of that is ability, but part of that is durability too.
Well, you know, anytime you're going to sign a premier free agent, you've got to give him a multi-year contract. And what you hate to do with a pitcher especially is sign a guy to a multi-year contract only to find out that he's going to hurt himself after the first year. And there are really only 2 long-term multi-year contracts that have been given to pitchers in the last decade or so that have worked out. One is Greg Maddux, and the other is Derek Lowe. You go beyond that, and you see teams eating the back end of these contracts time after time, but not with Lowe.
Lowe taps the bag, hit batter, nothing to show for it for the Reds. Lowe's got a lead, 2-0. He'll be up third when we return. Elk Storylines brought to you by Elk & Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Serious nighttime pitchers, Bronson Arroyo, Chris.
Well, Bronson Arroyo's a guy that he'll tell you, I don't like pitching during the daytime. I'm a night kind of person. I like to go out at night. Well, he's out here on today, you know, and there's so many day games, especially early in the year, George, you can't really pick your spot, so he'll have to get used to it. But he is significantly better, at least in years past, at nighttime than he is during the day. After a while, I think he lets it get into his head. But I think after last year, when he had some pretty good games during the day, he overcame it.
Great job by Votto. Bronson's there to tap the bag. Joey Votto robs Schaefer of a possible double. He flags it down. 1 away.
Boy, Joey Votto is improving almost daily at first base. This ball scalded. Looked like Wilson Pickett down there.
That's a tune anybody can play and smile, huh? Good play by Joey, 1 away. And back to Arroyo. Last year was probably his best year for day baseball. He had 2 of his better games pitching during the daytime. But he's one of those guys that even if he's doing nothing sitting at home, he'll stay up late. Here's David Ross. And if ever there was a combo, that's a fair ball, bobbled from his knees, long throw, not going to be there in time, and it'll kick over the railing, go into the camera bay. It'll go as an error, and going to second will be Ross.
It'll go down as a hit probably, because this ball's a tough play anyway. Right on the line, has a backhanded. Sometimes when you try that, it hits off the heel of your glove, but you've got to be able to come up and decide whether to throw or not. Now, this isn't all Edwin's fault. I really believe that Joey Votto should have come off the bag. I mean, he had the whole time that ball went out of his hand to track it across the infield and realize it wasn't going to be at first base. You've got to come off the bag, save your infielder an error right there. That one goes on Votto for as far as I'm concerned.
So it goes a base hit, and then the error allows the runner to go to second. An error in the first, an error in the second, and there's another runner in scoring position. Two miscues for Cincinnati already, and here's Lowe. Seven sacrifices last year for Derek. That was with the Dodgers. The last 4 seasons he's been in LA. And he'll step out. 2-0. And Bronson's behind 3-0. Arroyo. So 2 on, 1 out. And a reminder, the first 10,000 fans age 14 and younger at the ballpark at Sunday's game will receive a very special giveaway. It's the Brandon Phillips Gold Kids Glove, courtesy of Furniture Fair. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to reds.com. The Rawlings Gold Glove winner last year in the National League. As Kelly Johnson, he started it off with a walk last inning. Been away at the outside corner. That's a strike. Middle of the infield, double play depth for the Reds. Cincinnati with 13 double plays coming in. They've already turned 1, so 14 twin killings on the season. Late start in St. Louis this afternoon. Cubs are there. Albert Pujols deals a base in the 8th inning. Scores on a base hit by Ryan Ludwig. Cardinals win game 1 of that series. Whether it's a homer or a hit or a stolen base, Prince Albert finds a way to get it done. Slap foul. Underway, Mets lead Washington 3-0. That's in the first inning at Citi Field in New York. Bronson ahead, a ball and 2 strikes. Johnson ended the year in a ball of fire last year. Hit nearly 400, 398 in September. And once they lost Rafael Furcal and a free agent signing this offseason, it looked like he'd be in the leadoff spot, and he is there. throw to second for one, and that'll be all he'll get. So it'll be first and third with 2 away. Here comes Escobar. He banged one off the tip of the glove and then the wall in left center field in the effort of Dickerson for a double. And the first run of the game scored in the first inning. Behind again, inside this time, 2 balls, no strikes.
Well, you can trace the problems for Bronson Arroyo to the fact that he really hasn't had good bite on his curveball. That last pitch was a curveball, looked like it almost went backwards on him. So he's just not right getting out there in front of it and pulling it the right way yet.
Blind into left. Escobar is delivered again. That's a run batted in. Dickerson will get it in. Holding at second will be Johnson. So Escobar is 2 for 2.
Well, Escobar hits a breaking ball here. This is a hanger. He hit a very good breaking ball off the wall left center field the first time up. And I know you can't throw the guy fastball after fastball, but you certainly hate to let him hurt you on the same pitch he hurt you in the previous at bat. I do know this much, that last year the Braves hit Bronson Arroyo pretty well and mostly hit the fastball. And I think that the strategy today with Ryan Hannigan and Arroyo was to throw more breaking balls, but right now that's not working.
Here's Chipper after an 0 for night last night. He singled to right, knocked in the second run for the Braves in the first inning. Right center field, going back, looking up. That is gone. Chipper gets his 3rd career home run off Bronson Arroyo. And in his career, his 21st homer against the Reds. He'll knock 3 in. And the Braves have taken early charge of this one.
The Braves have a pretty good scout out there. His name is Bobby Wine, and he obviously has seen Arroyo pitch. And what the Braves appear to me to be doing is they're looking for off-speed pitches. They're looking for breaking balls against Bronson Arroyo. And when you don't get a breaking ball and you get a changeup, that's even better because you're looking for something off-speed, but the changeup doesn't break. It just comes in there slow. And that's what Chipper Jones jumps all over right here.
Chipper's 2nd of the year.
And you know, on that pitch, you could almost see, even in slow motion, how Bronson Arroyo kind of slowed his arm action down and telegraphed that pitch. You know, when you're a little bit wild early in the ball game, you have a tendency to try to back off things instead of being really aggressive with your arm and really selling that changeup as a fastball. You tendency to slow it down a little bit, and boy, he gave it away the entire way.
So 2 home runs for Chipper. Now for his career, sitting on 410, heading to 500.
You know, George, Chipper Jones is going to get his home runs. I mean, he's going to get his hits. He's a great Hall of Fame hitter. But when you walk the opposing pitcher in an inning and they end up scoring 4 runs in that inning, you've got nobody to blame but yourself, because he had an out from Schaefer. He got the young outfielder out. Then he walked Derek Lowe. And you should be 2/3 of the way out of the inning right there. You got another ground ball out of David Ross that turned into an infield base hit. But still, giving this team too many outs, and you've got to consider the pitcher an out every time he comes up.
In the air to right. Under it is Bruce. He'll squeeze this one, but not before the damage done. Jones is 2 for 2. He's got 4 runs batted in, and the Braves lead at 6-0.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Derek Lowe with a 6-run lead as we go to the second. Jay Bruce, 5-game hitting streak on the line, steps in. Encarnacion and Gonzalez do to follow. Hit pretty good. Did he get enough? Going back, looking up. It's going to be off the wall. Here's Bruce around first, heading to second. Jay will have a 2-bagger. Don't forget that new Toyota Tundra out in left center field at Great American Ballpark. Well, if a Reds player hits the Tundra or the sign, which is a direction that Jay went in during today's game, Patrick Swafford of Franklin, Indiana, is going to win it. Register for your chance to win during an upcoming game at your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. So runner in scoring position, and here's Edwin against Lowe in his career, 1 for 6. That one was a homer. He's got a homer and 6 knocked in on the year. On the corner for a strike. So make it a 6-game hitting streak for Bruce. This radar gun generation, Chris, everybody talks about velocity. What Derek Lowe has is movement and location more than anything else, and he sure wins with it.
Well, George, I think that's one reason why Derek Lowe has been so durable over all the years. I mean, you take the guys that are the hardest throwers out there, and they're the ones who are most likely to break down. And then you take the guys like a Derek Lowe or a Greg Maddux who back off a little bit instead of giving you a full 100% effort on every pitch. They're pitching about 85 to 90% within themselves.
Escobar, 1 away.
And you don't put the wear and tear on your arm. You don't, I mean, I guess the tendons and ligaments in your arm can only stand so much stress. And if you go out and lift weights all winter long and a whole bunch in between starts, and you go out there and you're firing up there as hard as you can for 120 pitches every 5 days, you're going to blow out eventually. But if you just pitch within yourself, don't try to overdo it. Use your movement, use your velocity, changes in velocity, curveballs and things like that. You're going to be much more durable. And I think that Derek Lowe's a living example of exactly what you can do if you take a little bit off.
Greg Maddux came up in Chicago, won the bulk of his games in Atlanta. When he came up in Chicago, he was 91, 92.
And he could probably have thrown even harder than that. Sure. I saw him in the minor leagues, and he threw harder than that.
But he realized 88, 89 with movement and location. Number one, he was winning more. Number two, more durable as well. And as you mentioned, when you talk about giving a free agent pitcher a long-term contract, you want somebody who is durable. Lowe, Santana, Arroyo, those kind of guys have been durable.
Well, since 2004, the most games started by anybody in Major League Baseball, Derek Lowe's right there with Johan Santana. And number 8 on the list is Bronson Arroyo. And Arroyo is only 8th on that list because he only had 29 starts in 2004 with Boston instead of 32 or 33 like Derek Lowe's, or else he would have been right there. So these guys are very durable, and those are the ones that you want to give your long-term deals to.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Gonzalez. Picked up hit number 1,000 of his career. This hit pretty good. Will the wind take it against the wall? It's going to be gone. Boy, has he turned his season around in the last week. Comfortable at the plate. Hit number 1,000 last night. Home run number 1 of the season today. Gonzalez has gotten the Reds on the board. It's a 6-2 game.
I'll tell you, both the extra base hits in this inning, it doesn't look like the hitters really got a whole lot of them. That ball's up in the zone, and that'll help it go a long way. A slider that didn't really sink at all. But, boy, once that ball got into left center field, there is a jet stream going out of here at Great American Ballpark this afternoon. looked like it had a chance to stay in the yard. Derek Lowe sees it disappear and says, man, maybe I'm not so keen on this place after all.
Alex Gonzalez. Homer number 1, and the Reds are on the board. It's a 6-2 score. There's that wind we showed you at the outset of today's ball game. It's a wind tunnel heading towards that left field scoreboard.
Well, George, you know, the prevailing wind here at Great American is from the west right down the river. And the ballpark is open in right field and in left center field. And that wind can kind of come right off that river and take that ball. Now, today it's blowing out a little bit out of the southwest. And that means a high-scoring ball game if you get the ball up.
Thank you for the meteorological report. There's a bouncer into right. And Hannigan has a base hit.
Ryan Hannigan doesn't get a whole lot of playing time unless his buddy Bronson Arroyo's on the mound. Kind of like the opposing catcher and David Ross. Ross was Bronson Arroyo's personal catcher, and he played once every 5 days when Bronson Arroyo took the hill. Well, today it's Ryan Hannigan's turn, and he helps his pitcher out with a base hit here.
So the Reds trying to chip away and crawl back into this one. Trailing by 6, it's now down to 4, and here's Bronson. Still only 1 out. Arroyo showing bunt. Chipper charging from third. Bronson steps out, peering down at Mark Berry in the third base coach's box, rolling through signs. As usual, Billy Hatcher down in the first base box for the Reds. Hannigan short lead. They get it down. Hannigan going to second. Chipper will take the out at first. Good bunt.
Good sacrifice by Bronson Arroyo. What it does, it effectively brings in Chipper Jones and the pitcher. Meanwhile, there's nobody at third base, and I think if the Reds had a speedier runner than Ryan Hannigan out there, you'd have a man on third right now instead of a man on second. But nonetheless, Arroyo does his job, and the Reds do have a runner in scoring position.
David Ross, as he chased the bunt, continued running down the line and wound up covering third.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have gotten there in time if Hannigan kept going.
If he had somebody with speed. So a sacrifice for Arroyo. Another runner out there with 2 away, and here's Dickerson, who struck out. Hannigan short lead off second. It's 1-2.
Chris Dickerson, who had a tough night at the plate last night, went back and looked at the video of Javier Vasquez and said, man, this guy was just painting the corners all night long. Never really gave him a good fastball to hit. Ditto that for Derek Lowe so far.
And if you watch Lowe, I mean, whatever he throws, it's usually right there, down at the knees. Down and in, down and away, and even if it's over the middle of the plate, it's in the lower quadrant. Wig wagging the signs is David Ross. 2-2. Pop down the left field line. Here comes Diaz. He'll get there. But the first homer of the homestand for the Reds gets Cincinnati rolling. Double by Bruce. Homer by Gonzalez. It's a 6-2 score. Mark it on your calendars. Thursday, May 7th. It's singles night at Great American Ballpark. Arrive as a single. You could leave as a double. First 20,000 fans in attendance receive a Reds t-shirt thanks to Chipotle. To get your singles night tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. Reds got a double from Jay Bruce and then a homer by Gonzalez, and they're on the board. Here's Jeff Francoeur. He bounced into a broken bat double play in the first. Francoeur ripped his second homer of the year last night. And as you talk about very often, Chris, this game is a game of adjustments for pitchers and hitters too. And just watching him, we didn't see the Braves in spring training, but watching him, his swing is shorter, his step is shorter. There's a shot into left. Dickerson there got it. And he's made some adjustments after a horrible year last year. He's more compact at the plate.
He was sent down for a short while last year, and I got to guarantee you that he did not want that to happen this year. Got a breaking ball down and in from Edens and Volquez, and he's got plenty of power. The ball barely left the yard last night. Willie Taveras gave it a good shot, but Francoeur got a home run. He's got the kind of power capable of going upper deck just about every time he centers one. But it's all about that adjustment you were referring to, George. You know, trying to shrink the strike zone. You know, it's a fine line that young hitters walk. They want to be aggressive, but at the same time, they don't want to swing at everything up there. And where do you draw the line?
Up in front of the plate. Hannigan pounces on it. Got him. Matt Diaz arguing that the ball hit his foot. Won't do any good as Mike Estabrook shakes his head and says, You know, there's a true art to arguing, and one way not to do it is argue while you're running down the first base line, because no one hears you but the first base coach. No, he'll start to argue right there. Hey, didn't that hit my foot? Unfortunately, these days everything has a replay. 2 away, and here comes Jordan Schaefer. Bronson trying to do something he hasn't been able to do in the first 2 innings. That's a 1-2-3 inning. Braves got 2 in the first, 4 in the second. Right on the knees. Schaefer bounced down to Votto. A nice play by Joey in the second inning to rob him of a potential base hit. 2 walks, no hits last night for Schaefer at the plate. That was off the foot.
He's got a doctor's note to prove it.
Say ouch. Ooh, off the right calf. Lowe will hang in there against left-handers. He'll come down and into you, and almost once a night, if you're a left-handed batter, you're guaranteed to foul one off in that vicinity. Full count, 3-2. Wow.
I mean, it did not look like Ryan Hannigan moved his mitt a millimeter.
I can get the call. Ball 4.
Was that high or was that inside?
Well, Estabrook got both. Bronson got nothing. Third walk issued by Arroyo, and here's David Ross. Ross thought that was high and inside. Estabrook punched it in for a strike, and it's one. So both catchers have something to quibble over early. Setting up, down, and away. Hannigan in the air to center. Hairston circling, hauls it in, and a souvenir for the fans in right center. Already Gonzalez has provided a souvenir. The Reds need more, though. They trail 6-2. Time for our Corona Extra, official sponsor of the timeout. For Derek Lowe, 13 seasons now as a major league player. Signed with Seattle, came to the major leagues. In fact, came to the major leagues in 1997. His anniversary will be tomorrow, the 26th of April. And the 26th and 27th, pretty good times for him. He threw his no-hitter on the 27th of April back in 2002. Two-time All-Star, World Series champion. And oh, by the way, when he was a World Series champion, his teammate is the Reds pitcher of today. A little shorter hair for Bronson back in those days. Bronson Arroyo.
Tell me that is Bronson Arroyo?
Looks like a high school picture, doesn't it?
No wonder he doesn't show that one around very much.
They latched on to each other as friends back then, and they remain good buddies to this day. Here's Jerry Hairston Jr. leading it off in the third. Votto and Phillips due to follow. Six runs, 6 hits for Atlanta, 2 runs, 3 hits for Cincinnati. Hairston, Votto, Phillips. Hairston bounced to third first time up. Votto hit by a pitch. And immediately after that, a warning issued to both benches after the bench clearing moment of last night. So rather than take any chances, Mike Estabrook and his umpiring crew issued a warning to both benches. Meaning if someone else throws at a batter, they will be immediately ejected.
We act on that very quickly, George. I guarantee you the umpires had a meeting about that and spoke about it. Anytime you have an incident like last night, it gets written up, it gets reported. Obviously, with all the video going on, it gets sent back to MLB. And the umpires probably met and said, all right, if we have an incident, that's what happens.
Well, Jerry Hairston Jr. didn't like that call at all. He won't have to wait for any bench clearing fisticuffs. He's been ejected already by Estabrook.
Well, this guy's struggling behind the plate.
Dusty Baker's been tossed too.
That is not a strike.
Well, Dusty came out to protect his player, and now Tim Tashita coming over to try to diffuse what's going on. He gets Hairston out of the mix, and now Dusty's going to get in a few licks before he leaves.
Well, if you come out and argue balls and strikes, which you can't do if you're a manager, you're going to get thumbed. But he went out there really to protect Jerry Hairston, and they're frustrated, and I don't blame them.
So Dusty's been ejected. Hairston's been ejected. Here's another look at that pitch. Hairston saying it's low. Estabrook, as soon as you argue balls and strikes, you're dead anyway. So he's out. And now Dusty comes out to try to protect him. And now Estabrook's telling Dusty to leave. And Dusty's going to have a few words before he exits.
Well, not an easy situation for Estabrook to come in. He's a minor league umpire coming up, taking over for Bob Davidson. You get into a crew. Now it's your turn to get behind the plate. You make a couple of bad calls, and now you're hearing it barking from both sides. The Braves are getting on you. The Reds are getting on you. Pitchers are looking at you funny. Batters are stepping out, and you're only in the third inning. And then somebody really demonstratively argues a ball and a strike with you, and you're already on edge. So you thumb Hairston out of there. Here comes the manager to protect him, and you're even more on edge, and you thumb him out of there. Now you got everybody in his ballpark on you.
Estabrook staring down Dusty, waiting for him to leave. And now Dusty leaves, so does Hairston, and Estabrook finally turns and goes back to his position. Chris Spire will take over, the bench coach for the Reds. So the plot thickens at Great American Ballpark this afternoon. Estabrook, who wasn't even scheduled to be part of this crew. Bob Davidson replaced for game one of the series. So Davidson gives way to Estabrook, and Estabrook's already put his stamp on this series. There's a fly ball to left. Votto's retired. Second out of the inning. So Dusty and Jerry Hairston Jr. will watch from here on out down in the clubhouse.
Take one more look at that called strike three on Jerry Hairston. Now remember, our camera's not exactly in center field, but look at the height of that pitch. It's the height of the pitch where it crosses the plate, not where the catcher catches it. And of course that ball's sinking off of Derek Lowe.
This one looped into right center. Schaefer there, he'll haul it in. So the damage done. Lowe still leading 6-2.
Commercial or residential, sales or service.
Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. By JTM, food, family, fun, JTM. And by Jeep, you talk, we listen. It's a new day. Have fun out there in your beep beep Jeep. Not much fun for the Reds in this afternoon so far. They trail at 6-2. Jerry Hairston Jr. and Dusty Baker each being ejected. Here's Derek Lowe, bounces out to the third baseman Encarnacion. Lowe walked his first time up. Darnell McDonald takes over in center field for Jerry Hairston Jr. So left for the Reds now. From the left side, Lance Nix, Willie Taveras, Paul Yanish, Ramon Hernandez, and of course Micah Owings, always available as a potential pinch hitter. In most cases, Chris, you see it very often. I mean, as soon as Hairston argues balls and strikes, and he had a good argument. I mean, the pitch was low, and not the first pitch that was questioned. But as soon as you argue balls and strikes, you know you're going to get ejected. And it's standard procedure that the umpire knows the manager is going to come out to try to protect his player. So we don't know. I mean, if a profanity was issued, then that might be part of the story. But Dusty, I think, was just coming out to try to protect Hairston, and boom, he was thumbed too.
You know, it's easy to just sit in the stands or even sit at home and watching it on TV, say, well, you know, why did Jerry Hairston act like that? Why did he just mumble something as he walks away, or you know, show him one way or another without actually showing the umpire up? But the problem is, you know, you're playing at this game and you've got such a high level of energy going, and if you're an emotional type player, and Jerry Hairston is, I mean, and you feel you get robbed of an at bat when you get rung up on a pitch that you don't think is a strike. That's way different than having the first pitch in the at bat called a strike, which you don't think is a strike. So you lose your at bat, you lose the momentum, you've been preparing and so on, and you feel like it's being robbed from you. And sometimes you say something and you act before, you know, sensibility takes over. And I think that's probably what happened. And
it usually happens more often when you're hitting 172 rather than 472, and that's where Jerry is right now. And
when you're hitting 472, you can actually hit that pitch.
Yeah.
Ball or strike.
Here's Escobar. Damage so far today. A double knocked in a run in the first. A single knocked in another run in the second. 2 for 2. And it was Escobar that really started the histrionics of this series yesterday when he was hit by Edinson Volquez and started joying with Volquez. And Edinson saying after the game last night he had no idea where that came from. He had no history with him. Our Aflac trivia question. Derek Lowe is one of 2 active players with 10 years in the majors and no time on the disabled list. Who's the other? I mean, that's the other part of the Lowe story that is so impressive. You look at his transactions, and Chris, these days you look at the transactions list and it's DL after DL. But in Lowe's case, he was signed by the Mariners in '91, traded to the Red Sox in '97, and what a trade that was. Lowe and Veritek for Heathcliff Slocum in July of '97. Signed by the Dodgers as a free agent, then signed by the Braves as a free agent. That's it. No stints on the DL. He and Bronson never miss a start. In fact, when we were in Los Angeles last year, when Brad Penny, he had numerous games where he had difficulties. Penny missed a start. Lowe twice, volunteered to go on 3 days rest. And they're going to kick Bronson out of the game.
You're kidding me.
Escobar.
Oh no, they're not. They're just going to let him go to first base. That's what the motion was. He wasn't kicking Arroyo out, right? He was just saying he hit by pitch and he's going to first base.
I think that's what Bronson asked him, and he's hit by pitch and going to first. It looked like the move by Estabrook was to eject him from the game.
Yeah, he fooled me on that one,
Yep.
George. I thought he was thumbing Arroyo. You cannot take away a pitcher's ability to throw inside. And Escobar's leaning out over the dish a little bit right there and just doesn't get his hands out of the way.
I mean, that looks like an ejection right there.
It really does.
And the pitch was almost a strike.
I'll tell you what, Estabrook will be happy when this game's over.
You're not kidding. Wow. And it's not even a full moon in the middle of the day here today. So Escobar hit for the second time in the series, and we told you what Chipper told him after it happened last night. I mean, Escobar always crowds the plate, and that pitch was almost a strike. Jones, who's the leader of this ball club and translates just about everything to the young players, he told them afterwards, there was no intent. They're not going to hit you and get me to the plate with you on in a one-run ball game. Well, Chipper, no hits last night, but already today, 2 for 2, a single knocked in a run in the first, then a 3-run homer in the second. Now 410 homers for his career. The homer is 3rd in his career against Bronson, and his average against Bronson, he's now 11 for 22 against Bronson Arroyo. Missing down and in. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's a call, strike 3. Bronson takes a breather, and here's a special look at what will be one of the biggest films of the summer, X-Men Origins Wolverines. It'll be in theaters May the 1st. Derek Lowe going to work. Time for Aflac Trivia Answer. Well, if you pick somebody on this list, who would it be? You would think it might be a pitcher or maybe a catcher. Probably the toughest guys to play the game. Derek Lowe, one of 2 active players with 10 years or more, no stints on the DL. The former Astro catcher, now still in uniform on the West Coast with the. And it looked like he was going to retire at the end of last year, Chris, without ever being on the DL. Brad Ausmus. Somewhat amazing for a catcher, huh?
It really is. I would never have guessed that.
Here's Jay Bruce. Doubled to lead off the second, and then scored on the home run by Alex Gonzalez. This one, Red trying to play chip away. They trail it by 4, and Bruce retired on the strikeout. Strikeout number 3 for Derek Lowe. Our Honda rankings in the National League for Braves starters. Earned run average, they're second. Hits, they're second. Among the starters, this is. Home runs allowed, only 5, and they're third in strikeouts. That's the good news of the pitching staff. The bad news comes out of the bullpen in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Well, if you go by what the bullpen did last night, Mike Gonzalez was a question mark until last night. Talking to one of the scouts before the game, George, who saw him. He was great last night. He's been bad before. But, boy, if he pitches like he did against the Reds in the 9th inning last night, that will really help this Braves bullpen.
That's the best we've seen Gonzalez, Chris, since he was in Pittsburgh before he first started to have elbow difficulties, which was well before they traded him. I mean, he looked energized. His velocity was back up, and his breaking ball was back. That's bad news for everybody in the National League East. And Soriano looked pretty good, too, in his previous appearance. So 2 away, and here's Gonzalez. Speaking of looking good, Alex finally starting to turn it around. Just the last 3 or 4 days, he's been having good at-bats and culminating with his first homer that came in the 2nd inning.
Good at bats mean for a hitter oftentimes mean I'm not swinging at bad pitches, and when I do get a mistake pitch, I don't miss it. And that's what Gonzalez has done so far in this ball game. I mean, the pitch that he hit for a home run was simply a mistake that Lowe threw up there. If he fouls it back, he may never get another one.
Facing the right guy, he's had success against Lowe. This one popped back and out of play. He's now 7 for 12 against Derek Lowe in their matchups. His 1,000th career hit last night. You know, Dusty Baker said it all during spring training. He said, you know, it's not just coming back after being out all last year with a knee surgery, not just coming back from the injury. It's about missing baseball for a whole season. So it's going to take a while to get timing back. There's the 1-2. Takes a little off out in front. This one blooped into left. Diaz there, and it's a 1-2-3. 7 straight retired by Derek Lowe. He leads at 6-2. Kochman due up, and we return. The sight, sounds, and feel of this historic Cincinnati ballpark. It's unforgettable moments, too. For more info and tickets, visit Reds.com/Hall of Fame. Got to stop over and see the new exhibit. The old scoreboard replicated on the wall. It's pretty neat. Here's Casey Kochman, singled in the first, flied out. He's 1 for 2. Bronson settled down after giving up 2 in the first, 4 in the second. Braves had a walk, a double, a single, a single. 2 runs in the first. An infield hit, an error, a walk. And then Had 2 plays been made, Arroyo could have been out of the second. But with another opportunity, a base hit by Escobar, and then the 3-run homer by Jones. 6 runs on the board. He's got it working now.
That's always the big concern for Ryan Hannigan. When you talk to him about Bronson Arroyo before the ball game, he says, you know what, we're just trying to get him into a rhythm early in the game, because if he gets out there long enough, he'll eventually get it. It's those mistakes early on that can come back to haunt you, and the Braves scored all 6 of their runs in the first 2 innings.
4 strikeouts, first out of the 5th. And here's Francoeur, bounced into a double play, flied out. Votto's got it. 2 away.
Hey, Reds fans, for great tasting food and family fun, pick up JTM Philly kits, burgers, or delicious barbecue from your favorite grocer. JTM, food, family, fun.
Another good crowd on hand at Great American Ballpark as Diaz steps in here in the 5th. He's 0 for 2. Final of the series tomorrow. Micah Owings against Kawakami, the 31-year-old rookie from Japan. Be on the air with the Reds live at 12:30. Game will follow. The Astros come to town. Johnny Cueto against Roy Oswalt. Cueto was brilliant in his last start. Aaron Harang against Wandy Rodriguez. Harang brilliant in his last start. Rodriguez, maybe the best game he ever pitched, came against the Reds in Houston last week. And then Wednesday, Edinson Volquez due to go against a starter to be named by the Astros. Reds live at 6:30 for each of those games, and the Reds will head to Pittsburgh to play the Buccos. 2-1. Slow, slower, slowest.
Well, both of these pitchers this afternoon, veterans that know the advantage of changing speeds, and just when a guy is looking for a slow one, you take a little bit more off.
Got him. Looking for a fastball. Diaz never sees one. It's a 1-2-3 for Bronson. 5 strikeouts for number 61. He's due up second when we return. Run for home 5K on Saturday, May 30th. Race winds through downtown Cincinnati, finishes inside the ballpark. Also a 1-mile run and a Gappers Fun Run for kids. Sign up now at Reds.com/5K or visit the Reds Community Fund booth at Great American Ballpark. Here's Hannigan, single to right first time up. Arroyo due to follow, and then Chris Dickerson. Well, Chris, anytime you get in under 15 pitches an inning, you know you're doing your job, and through 4, that's where Derek Lowe is.
Yeah, that second inning when he threw 22 in pitches, that was when Jay Bruce hit the double, and then Alex Gonzalez hit a home run. Pitch to contact, hit my pitch, don't miss my pitch.
Hannigan's 2 for 2 down the left field line. That's a fair ball. Routed first, heading into second. He'll have a 2-bagger. Second leadoff double for the Reds. Bruce a leadoff double in the second, and then Gonzalez homered. Here's another look.
You know, Ryan Hannigan is one of those constant overachievers that every time you write him off as saying, well, he's finally reached a level where he just won't be able to compete, he shows you that you're wrong. And that's what scouts have said for a long time. There's been some coaches, but the coaches that have been closest to Ryan Hannigan will tell you time and time again, this guy will find a way to get it done.
Rick Sweet last year down at AAA saying that he was one of the key components of that club's remarkable year. And even talking to umpires, the home plate umpires that have sat behind him, they have rave reviews for him at the way he sets up, the way he conducts himself behind the plate. He's a keeper. Here's Bronson showing bunt. Gets it down. They're going to go to third. They've got Hannigan caught between second and third, and he's safe. He's safe. Well, the Braves botch a rundown, and the Reds have second and third. Bronson kept running. He may be a pitcher, but Bronson did everything right. He got to second, and Hannigan making like Joe Morgan at his best. And look out, here comes Bobby Cox to argue this one. Another look.
Well, it looks like it's going to backfire for the Reds. The bunt right in front of the catcher. He fires down, Ross does, to third base, and now they got him in a pickle. Now, this is the catcher you have in a pickle. And he simply outruns the throw right there. Escobar held on to it too long, and by the time he got it to the third base to have the tag put on him, Chipper's late with the tag, and Hannigan goes in, and Bronson Arroyo realizes, hey, I've got to go to second base no matter what happens right here. So now the Reds, runners at second and third, and nobody out.
Well, the Reds get the benefit, and we'll show it to you again. And Chris, we've talked about it in the past. You've had it on your mechanics segment. I mean, the key, number one, run the runner back to the previous base, and number 2, Escobar is the one who blows this play, just didn't give it back to Chipper.
Yeah, you know, now it used to be, George, you run it back to the previous base, and I think that applies a lot of times in youth league ball, and sometimes these guys get out of their pickle. But for the most part, the big leagues, you should be able to get it done in 3 tosses or less, preferably 2 or less, but you've got to close the gap, and they didn't close the gap right here. You see how far back the shortstop is when he receives that ball, and Chipper didn't move up. He kind of waited at third base. So if the throw is late, you've got nothing to back you up right there. So it was not a very good execution by the Braves.
So it's a sacrifice and a fielder's choice. Reds have second and third, and they got Dickerson at the plate. Swing and a miss for Dickerson. It's 2-2. Chris struck out, flied out, 0 for 2. Still trying to figure out Derek Lowe. And Dickerson will step out.
Big at bat right here for Chris Dickerson. He has not looked good against Derek Lowe.
Full count, 3-2. Darnell McDonald is on deck. He took over for Jerry Hairston Jr. if he joined us late. Jerry Hairston Jr. ejected for arguing balls and strikes. Dusty Baker came out to protect him. He got tossed by Mike Estabrook also. There's the cheer is for one of the bat boys trying to corral a blowing plastic bag that was like on a yo-yo. He got it. 3-2. Right side of the infield back, so they'll give away a run if Dickerson can at least get the ball on the ground to the right side. Situation where a hit would be great, but a productive out would help too.
Yeah, preferably to the right side. That way Arroyo can go to third, but even one with the shortstop right here will score a run. Put it in play.
3-2, and Ross and Lowe having trouble getting together, so they'll head out and confer. Here's one more look.
Yeah, at that pickle for Ryan Hannigan. The idea is that if you're the Braves, you want to make sure that you close the gap right here, and you do that as quickly as you can. You want to make sure that you go here, and you squeeze him in the middle. But they didn't do that. They ran him a long way. Chipper's still way over by third base, and so if the throw's late, you have nobody behind you to back it up, he'll be safe into the bag, and that's what Ryan Hannigan was.
Down and in, he gets Dickerson. The inability to get a ground ball prevents the Reds from getting a run.
Well, sometimes strikeouts don't matter at all, but boy, when there's a runner at third base in less than 2, you've got to somehow figure out a way to make contact in the at-bat. Now, that's a very tough pitch by Derek Lowe. Down and in. Tough pitch to a left-hander, but sometime in that at-bat, you'd hope that he would be able to get the ball in play.
Well, here's Darnell, his first at-bat after taking over for Hairston, who was ejected in the third. Darnell in at .333 on the season. Votto on deck. Braves lead by 4, infield still back. In there, 2-1.
Great pitch by Derek Lowe. 2-0 count. If you're Darnell McDonald, you're looking for something you can put the sweet part of the bat on. If he swings at that pitch, chances are he squibs it off the end, maybe right back to the pitcher, and nothing will get done.
And it's 2-2. Another look at that last pitch.
Same one.
That's
same
where
as
he'll
the 2-0
live.
pitch.
How about Derek Lowe? Brilliant at-bats for him, 2 bad at-bats for the Reds. So the inability with runners at second and third and nobody out, they're still sitting at second, third, and 2 outs.
And it comes down to Joey Votto once again.
The Reds have struggled with runners in scoring position all year. This is the one guy who consistently has delivered. Today, hit by a pitch intentionally from all indications in the first. A warning issued to both teams, and he flied to left second time up. Those are the numbers we talked about earlier. He's been money in the bank. And remember, the only guy that's done damage in these situations is Votto. So he'll stay down there. He'll stay away, down and in, down and away. He's got first base open. Ball and a strike. Brandon Phillips on deck. Joey saying the same thing Jerry Hairston Jr. said. That's low, can't be a strike.
Now that's Joey's idea of arguing right there.
Yep.
You know, the problem is when you get pitches called down below the knees, you expand your strike zone as a hitter and you start swinging at pitches that you can't possibly do anything with.
That's a call strike. And the Reds, with second and third, nobody out. 2 strikeouts swinging, 1 looking. 2 runners stranded, and the Reds still trail 6-2. Back at Great American Ballpark, 6 runs, 6 hits for the Braves. They've left 3 on. The Reds 2 runs, 4 hits, committing 2 errors, 4 left on base. Braves, if you joined us late, opened up a 2-0 lead in the first inning on a walk, a double, an error, and a single. They added 4 in the second. On an infield hit, a walk, a fielder's choice, an error, and then a single and a 3-run homer by Chipper Jones.
Boy,
Bronson Arroyo's settled down since then.
Yeah, he settled down very nicely, but the offense had a great chance to get at least 1 run in. Try to get a little momentum back going your way, and Derek Lowe just showed everybody in this ballpark why he's the caliber pitcher he is. Struck out 3 in a row to get out of the jam.
First pitch swinging, Schaefer to left. The wind carrying this one. McDonald can't get it. It bangs off the wall, and Schaefer will have a double. Well, the wind giveth, the wind taketh. The wind helped Alex Gonzalez fly ball head into the seats, and this one over the head of McDonald ends up being a double.
Chris Dickerson actually in left field, and he has had some problems, not only here in Great American Ballpark, but everywhere seems like it was windy. In Chicago, he had a very tough wind there. He's got a tough wind today because it's gusting, it's swirling, and that ball looked like it was just come off the end of the bat. It just went all the way to the wall. Makes you kind of gun shy out there as an outfielder.
So it goes as a double for Schaefer. And here's David Ross.
You know, George, and those that have played it would know better, but I was talking to Jerry Harrison about it, and he says, you know, after playing all these different positions, I will tell you that by far left field is the most difficult outfield position to play. The spin of the ball, the way it comes off the bat, the way it hooks off a bat of a right-hander, the way it slices off the bats of left-handers, it's not an easy place to play. And I don't think that this left field at Great American Ballpark is any easier than anywhere else.
On a day like this, especially with that wind blowing towards that corner. I mean, Chris Dickerson admitted in Chicago that the ball that he was charged with an error there, he should have caught. That's a tough play. This one blooped towards the line. Here comes Dickerson. He can't get it. It's off his glove. Rounding third and scoring will be Schaefer. Well, on this day, the ball finding Chris Dickerson, one over his head. This one off his glove. Another run scores at 7-2.
Well, he's got great speed, and if he didn't have such good speed, he wouldn't have been in the vicinity. But he is there, and possibly to make the catch and unable to come up with it as he dives. Well, that's the kind of ball that outfielders dream about making because it's a catchable ball. It would be a great athletic play. It would be one that would maybe thwart the rally. And when you don't make it, you feel awfully bad. Here's Lowe. Walked.
and bounced to third. Gets it down. Arroyo, bare hand, and the runner goes to third. So sacrifice for Lowe. Runner at third. First out of the inning. Here's Kelly Johnson, and let's go to Jeff Picoro. Pick.
Thanks a lot, George. Hey, don't forget, after each and every game here on Fox Sports Ohio, join me for Reds Live. We'll take you inside the clubhouse, get you highlights, talk to Dusty, and much more. You know, George and Chris, yesterday we were up in the club section, which was the all-you-can-eat. Right out here underneath us is an all-you-can-eat section, too. You get hot dogs, chips, peanuts, popcorn, and soda. All you can eat or drink during the game. Now, I got a feeling there's some people out here like these guys that could put away quite a few hot dogs and sodas.
Well, some people have a GPS. Pick has an FF, fine food.
That's
you
right.
Keep that in your pocket, don't you?
If it's free, it's for me.
Fine free food. FFF. See you later, Pick.
All righty.
Here's Kelly Johnson, top of the order, one out. Runner at third. Middle of the infield halfway. Votto and Encarnacion in, edge of the grass. Danny Herrera has started to loosen in the pen as Bronson Arroyo closes in on the 100 pitch mark. Loop towards left. Here comes Dickerson. This one he hauls on to, and the runner will hold. Great job by Chris Dickerson. I mean, speed's a wonderful thing. I mean, he's more upset with himself. He knew he should have had the last one after a great effort. And this is a tremendous effort to get it out.
But you got to get a good jump on it, and he does that. This ball going to die, and he comes in, makes the diving catch. That time covering it with two hands. How about that? He got the bare hand working.
Loses his glasses, holds onto the ball, and the runner holds at third.
Well, the bat boy went over, the ball boy down the line went over to get the glasses. They'll be on eBay later.
You'll sign them?
No, but I'll bid.
So Ross holds at third. Second out of the inning, and here comes Escobar. Escobar today already a double and a single. A couple of runs batted in. Bronson to the 100 pitch mark here in the 6th inning. 7 innings, 81 pitches in his 4-3 win over Houston the other day. This one drilled left center field. Back, Darnell McDonald at the wall. It is gone. Well, after what transpired last night and what's transpired today, Yunel Escobar is the one who's having the final say. He's 3 for 3, hit by a pitch. A 2-run homer here in the 6th inning. 4 runs batted in on the afternoon.
Well, he went to a 2-0 count, and he really got a cookie right there. A mistake pitch, middle in, about waist high. See ya.
The wind gives that little extra push. Over the fence, and out comes Chris Spire, who's taken over for Dusty Baker after Dusty was ejected. And that'll be it for Bronson as he hits the 100 pitch mark, and he now trails 9-2. While Say this week, NASCAR on Fox moves to the Talladega Super Speedway, where Kyle Busch will try to defend his title against the full field of the world's best drivers. Coverage of the Sprint Cup Series racing from Talladega begins Sunday at 1 in high definition right here on Fox. 9 runs, 9 hits for the Braves, who lead at 9-2. Bronson's day is done, and here's the diminutive left-hander from Odessa, Texas, Danny Herrera.
And he'll face Chipper Jones, a switch hitter, in the first batter. And I think if Chipper really had a true scouting report on him, he may want to go up there left-handed as opposed to right-handed. Herrera's been very good. And he neutralizes those right-handed hitters with that screwball that he throws. It acts quite a bit like a right-handed curveball, moving away from those right-handed hitters.
And if you had your druthers, you always try to turn Chipper around to bat from this side. And he's lethal both ways. One of the best switch hitters in the history of the game. So Herrera in. The numbers on Bronson: 5 2/3, 9 hits, 9 runs, all of them earned, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, 102 pitches. He exits on the short end of a 9-2 score. When we return, Reds go back to work. Brandon Phillips will lead it off. Time for the Coors Light freeze cam. Here it is. Could be down, could be away. Either way, you don't think it's a strike, do you? Jerry Harrison Jr. didn't. It was on this pitch that he argued with Mike Estabrook. He was ejected. Dusty Baker came out to try to protect him. He got ejected too. And the fun began at Great American Ballpark. Coors Light freeze cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. And Chris, you very seldom see Bronson Arroyo show any emotion as he left the field. He had a long look towards Estabrook as he trotted towards the dugout. That's about as much as you'll ever see from Bronson.
Yeah, it gets contagious, George. I mean, you feel like you get squeezed a little bit. You see a teammate thrown out of a game for pitches that you didn't think were called the right way. And I think that both teams feel the same way about it right now.
Check swing by Brandon Phillips. He's retired. 0 for 3 is Phillips. Derek Lowe's been in control today. Our Firestone leaderboard, most wins from 2002 through 2008. Derek Lowe on that list. Pretty good list of durable pitchers. Mike Mussina, who retired after his first 20-win season. Johan Santana still dealing for the Mets. Our Firestone leaderboard. At least 12 wins a year for Lowe for the last 7 years. There's Jay. Bruce led off with a double in the second, scored on the homer by Gonzalez, and he struck out in the fourth. so happens, Chris, there's a good example. Bruce didn't think the previous pitch was a strike. And then the next pitch is almost in the identical spot. So if the first one was a strike, you figure you got to swing at the second one too.
Yeah, and Lou realizes that, and he's an expert at expanding the strike zone. First you define the outside corner to the hitter, and then you go a couple of inches farther outside, and then even farther than that. So the more you go outside, the more you hope that that hitter will continue to chase.
Call it the Eric Gregg effect.
He called it the Greg Maddux effect too. I mean, he did it so expertly as a pitcher. And yeah, there are umpires in the past that had more leeway in giving that outside pitch to pitchers. You don't see it nearly as much anymore, but pitchers that are good at repeating their delivery can take advantage.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Jay. It'll be in the seats and out of play. Bright spots for the Reds on this day. There have not been many. Bruce, a good swing in the second. Alex Gonzalez, who picked up his 1,000th career hit last night, got his first homer of the year in the second. That accounted for the 2 runs that the Reds have on the board. They trail at 9-2. Well, here we are in the 6th inning for Derek Lowe. That is walk number 1 on the afternoon. He hit Votto. That was intentional in the 1st inning. Here's the first free pass he's issued. 1 out, 1 on. Here comes Encarnacion.
You know, the advantage of being the first guy to hit after an incident like last night is that you have a warning to both benches, and the other pitcher can't retaliate. Not that there's any reason why these 2 teams should escalate this little Escobar-Volquez incident into a beanball war.
And again, it's not automatic that if you hit a batter, it's just if the umpire believes you hit a batter on purpose, you're ejected. I mean, Escobar is a perfect example of it. I mean, the ball that he got hit by was almost a strike. Here's Edwin, 2 ground balls to short, 0 for 2.
You know, the more I watch Derek Lee pitch, George, the more I think that, you know, he's obviously a terrific pitcher, and there's no one way to go out and get him. But if you try to cover both sides of the plate against Derek Lowe, you're not going to have a chance, because his ball, he's got pitches that can move away from both sides of the plate, and it's a unique thing that he can do. You know, you may want to take the Barry Bonds approach, which is get right up on the dish and try to take one of the throwing lanes away from him. And he still may pound you inside and get you out that way, but he's doing a pretty good job the other way right now, limiting the Reds to only 2 runs and 4 hits. The 2 runs came on one home run.
Bronson Arroyo is one who uses, I mean, all 4 quadrants of the strike zone when he goes against you. In Lowe's case, here's a fly ball to center. He'll stick pretty much down and away and down and in, and it is working today. There's a fly ball out. The Reds still struggling for offense, trail at 9-2. You can stay informed throughout the 2009 season with MLB.com team text alerts and video alerts. Customize your mobile alerts, including news, game summary, score, and more. Sign up now by texting Get Reds to 65246 or visit MLB.com/mobile. Bright sunshiny day at Great American Ballpark. Sunshine not smiling on the Reds so far. 9 runs, 9 hits, no errors for Atlanta. 2 runs, 4 hits, 2 errors for the Reds. The lone Reds runs coming on a double by Jay Bruce and a homer by Alex Gonzalez. Here's Casey Kotchman, singled in the first. Flied to right and struck out. If he joined us late, Bronson Arroyo gone after 5 2/3, 9 hits, 9 runs, all of them earned. 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, 102 pitches. Dusty Baker and Jerry Hairston Jr. both ejected by home plate umpire Mike Estabrook. Estabrook is on this crew in place of Bob Davidson, who was scheduled to be here. There's a soft liner coming in, making a catch, and holding on is Bruce. Brilliant catch by Jay Bruce.
Boy, not an easy play at all. That ball was sinking, a humpback line drive. Jay Bruce got a good jump on it and picked it right, just inches away from the ground.
Danny Herrera, who got the final out of the 6th, gets the first out with a little help from Bruce here in the 7th.
He's got his whole family here. Daniel Ray does, from Odessa, Texas. Coming in to enjoy a beautiful weekend in Cincinnati.
Mom's whole side of the family came to Houston when the Reds were in Houston, and Dad and Grandpa are here. Here's Frank Coor. Bounced into a double play, flied out, bounced out. Gonzalez. 2-0. For 4 for Frank Coor, who had a homer last night. And here comes Matt Diaz. 2 strikeouts and a dribbler in front of the plate. 0 for 3. Throwing strikes, Chris. That's what Danny Herrera does. The lone exception we saw was on opening day, and he admitted after the game he was so pumped up for the excitement, the adrenaline, for being on an opening day roster that he just wasn't himself. When he's himself, that's what you get. About 65 miles an hour and break your back to try to hit it.
Well, it's so different than what most major league pitchers offer up there. The hitters have a hard time adjusting to it because it is so slow.
In the air, right center. Darnell McDonald there. He'll squeeze it. That'll do it. It's a 1-2-3. Second time today a Reds pitcher's done that. Reds go to work. Here comes Hannigan. Great American Ballpark. Braves lead it 9-2. A reminder, we're on the air tomorrow at 12:30 with Reds Live. Micah Owings against Kenshin Kawakami, the 31-year-old Japanese rookie from the Japanese League. He's 1-2 on the season. Micah tries to win his first. Astros come to town Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Reds Live at 6:30 each evening. Here's Ryan Hannigan as we head to the bottom of the 7th. Hannigan, the pitcher spot due up, and then the top of the order. Ryan today, single to right, and double to left, 2 for 2. Arroyo exited after 5 2/3 with 102 pitches, 9 hits, 9 runs, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. All 9 of the runs were earned. Derek Lowe, boy, has he been pitch efficient on this day, Chris.
Well, he has, because he's been throwing strikes, and he's not a strikeout pitcher. Although he has collected 6 of them today. The 3 most important ones were in the 5th inning with a couple of runners on base. He would really rather have you hit a pitch early in the count any day, because chances are you're not going to hit it in a sweet spot.
Jeff Bennett and Eric O'Flaherty loosening in the bullpen for the Atlanta Braves. Hannigan take a walk. Leadoff batter on here in the 7th. And don't forget, you can follow Fox Sports Ohio on twitter.com/FoxSportsOH. That's twitter.com/FoxSportsOH. Here's Lance Nix. He'll hit for the pitcher Herrera. Danny went an inning and a third. Didn't allow a hit. Struck out a batter. Here's Lance. A pinch hit appearance last night, hit the ball hard, nothing to show for it though. Missing wide, a ball and a strike. The Reds will play the White Sox in the civil rights game in June, and there's a real good possibility, and really, Chris, probably a probability, that Jason Nix will be with the White Sox by the time they come here. He's been serving an injury rehab. They expect him to be back sometime in May. His younger brother. Two balls, 2 strikes. It'll be out of play. And now in the 6th inning at Citi Field in New York, the Mets are leading the Nationals 5-2. It's the only game underway. The other National League game that'll start this afternoon is the 4 o'clock start in St. Louis. The Cardinals, who came back to beat the Cubs last night, will host the Cubs again. Two. You got him. Nix retired. Strikeout number 7 for Derek Lowe.
Well, he fouled a few off, but what Derek Lowe does is just continues to change speeds and expand the strike zone. That time he took a little bit even more off that pitch. Boy, look at the sinking action at the very end of this slider. You think you're all over it, and all of a sudden it disappears on you.
Roger McDowell hopping out of the dugout, heading to the mound to talk to Lowe.
Well, he's got 99 pitches, and the longest that they have stretched him out this year was in his last start. That was a 6-inning effort against the Washington Nationals, and he pitched 115. He tells him he's A-OK, and of course with Derek Lowe out there and a man on first base, you're only one pitch away from a ground ball double play, just about ready to happen at any moment.
That's the Cincinnati native, Roger McDowell, went to Coleraine High School. Pretty darn good pitcher in his own right through the major leagues.
He had a pretty good sinker.
Yeah. That's when they kept the dirt pretty loose around home plate when he pitched, didn't they? And that's what they've done for Derek Lowe throughout his career, whether that was in Boston or in Los Angeles. That's a strike for Chris Dickerson. 2 strikeouts and a fly ball out, 0 for 3. And this game was still within reach, 6-2. The Reds got a double from Hannigan. Arroyo put down a sacrifice bunt. The Braves botched a rundown play, catching Hannigan between second and third. So the Reds had second and third, nobody out. But Dickerson struck out. Reds unable to get a run in. 3 straight strikeouts for Lowe. Got out of the inning. Dickerson, McDonald, and then Votto. Mike Lincoln loosening. He'll be the new pitcher for Cincinnati when we go to the 8th inning. Two balls, 2 strikes. Like it's on a string, huh? Chris Dickerson strikes out for the 3rd time today. Lowe nips at that outside corner. And that's 8 strikeouts for Derek Lowe.
8 of them overall. That is a season high for Derek Lowe, and Chris Dickerson's got no complaint about this one, or should not.
There's Darnell up for the 2nd time. He struck out after coming in. This one clubbed to left, but it'll be in the upper deck, but way foul.
That's a slider spin right there. Has a little bit of a backdoor action. Starts it off the plate, comes back and touches the outside corner. You know, once he starts getting you thinking about the inside corner, then he goes to the outside. He gets you thinking about outside. He goes back in. He changes speeds. Never really gives you a chance to get very comfortable. You know, most hitters, what they really want is a pitcher to rear back and throw it as hard as they can. Mano a mano. What they don't want to do is be tricked, and that's why Derek Lee's so good, because he can trick them.
Derek Lowe to the stretch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Darnell pops this one up. Is there going to be room for Ross? David holds on. Ross gets the final out of the inning. The Reds still trailed 9-2. local Ford dealer and the Ford F-150 2009 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by your Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers. For the Reds, Lance Nick stays in the game. He'll be in center field. And the new pitcher for the Reds will be Mike Lincoln. Well, Lincoln will bat in the number 2 spot. And Nix will stay in the game in the number 9 spot. Here's Mike. Lincoln had back-to-back bad outings the end of the first week of the season, giving up 3 runs, 5 runs and 3 hits, and 4 runs and 3 hits in back-to-back outings, and his earned run average ballooned up over 40 at one point, trying to whittle it down little by little.
Now, we've talked about it, George. It takes a while when you pitch 1 inning at a time. Also got roughed up a little bit in his last outing at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. Walked a couple, gave up a couple of runs. That was a very cold night. It didn't look like he had a real good grip on his curveball. I'm not sure
exactly what he said after the game.
Yeah, how easy it is to throw a curveball when it's that cold. It's awfully tough. When you can't feel your fingertips,
it's tough even for you to keep score.
I didn't. I just looked on your scorecard.
Jordan Schaefer, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Schaefer robbed of a hit on a nice play by Votto, walked on a 3-2 pitch in the 3rd, and doubled the lead off the 6th. Later scored on a double by David Ross. The hitting stars for the Braves today. Yunel Escobar has 3 hits and was hit by a pitch. A single, a double, a home run for Escobar. Chipper Jones, a single knocked in a run and a 3-run homer. Full count, 3-2. Billed is a showdown between 2 guys who were close friends and durable pitchers, Bronson Arroyo and Derek Lowe. Bronson, 5 2/3, 9 hits, 9 runs, all of them earned, 5 strikeouts and 3 walks. Bronson just couldn't dig out of those first 2 innings, Chris.
No, it was just almost like bad karma. When you walk the opposing pitcher and then you give up 4 runs in the inning, you think, oh boy, I've done this to myself. And if you go back and dissect those innings batter by batter, you realize that, the Reds could have gotten out of that without such a big number on the board for the Braves, and it would be a much tighter game at this point.
I mean, coulda, woulda, shoulda. The Reds, without an error on the relay throw to the plate in the first inning, could have gotten out with less damage, and in the second, an error by Encarnacion on a throw, and they could have gotten out of that inning. Chipper could have gotten out before he ever got to the plate and hit the 3-run homer.
Well, a 4-walk game today following a 10-walk game last night by Reds pitching. This game's not even close to being over yet. Throwing a hit batter with Escobar getting beamed on the wrist today, and you're giving them 5 free guys on board.
Wild pitch by Lincoln. Runner goes to second, so double play possibility erased. Ball 1 to David Ross. Ross, a base hit, fly ball out, and a double that knocked in the 7th run. Ross getting to play a little more than Bobby Cox thought he would be early in the season, because Brian McCann continues to battle that blurry vision in his left eye, a product of his LASIK surgery that they still have not been able to correct. They've tried medication, drops, and everything, and they're doing everything they can to try to get him back to good health. It's a day-by-day, hour-by-hour situation. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Rolled wide to third. Encarnacion has it. And they'll get Ross down at first. Runner holds at second, 1 away. There's Greg Norton, pinch hitter with power. The switch hitter will come in to pinch it for Lowe. So Derek's day is done. He'll exit having allowed 2 runs on 4 hits, striking out 8 and in control all afternoon. You got what you expected from Derek Lowe today, huh?
I think so, George, and especially given the fact that he threw his ball game to David Ross. I think they got what they expected out of David Ross. I mean, they don't expect a lot offensively, but he handled the pitcher.
That's the first hit of the year for Norton. It's going to be a double into left center, and that'll get a run in. And watch the bench of the Braves. They raise their hands in celebration. We told you yesterday what was going on in the clubhouse. They had a pool to see when Norton would get his first. They just, in unison, all raised their arms. I don't know who won the pool, but Norton gets a base hit, his first hit of the year.
Looks like they all won. Take a look at that dugout. It's a nice hit, too. Takes a fastball low and away and goes the other way with it.
First hit, first run batted in for Norton. And it's now 10-2. So Norton's on second. Still 1 away is Kelly Johnson at the top of the order. After last night, when Edinson Volquez walked 7 in 5 innings of work, Kelly Johnson started the day today with a walk in the first inning, and that started Bronson Arroyo's troubles. Escobar then doubled, scoring Johnson. Jones then singled, scoring Escobar. Votto backhand, quick flip to Lincoln. They get the out. Runner goes to third, 2 away. And having talked about the walks and the problems for Bronson, Chris, the other thing that has to be, again, frustrating for Dusty Baker, not so much the scoreboard, but the opportunities the Reds had to get back in the game and just didn't have productive at-bats.
Well, you know, on one hand, you have to give credit to the pitcher because Derek Lowe really got tough when he needed to. Second and third, nobody out, and he struck out the side. On the other hand, you know, you've got guys in this lineup that are still hitting in the 100s. And in the low 100s, and have had many opportunities to drive runs in, and they just don't seem to be seeing the ball right. So it gets frustrating, but there's not a whole lot you can do about it if you're Dusty Baker.
Leadoff walk, another one comes around to score. That's the way it's been in this series. Reds trail 10-2, going to the bottom of 8.
Fox Sport Ohio.
Time for our John Morrell hot dog play of the day. If it weren't for Joey Votto, the second inning could have been worse. A great play by Votto on a hard hit ball and a tough hop. Joey turned it into an out. That was Jordan Schaefer's bullet to lead off the second inning. Our John Morrell hot dog play of the game. There's Joey Votto to lead it off as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Votto hit by a pitch, flied out and struck out. And here is the congratulations from teammates as Norton got to the bench after high fives from the starters who are already out there after his first hit of the season. There's Joey. For the Braves, some changers. O'Flaherty comes in to pitch, and Infante goes in at third. So Omar Infante's your new third baseman. Infante will hit in Chipper Jones' spot, the number 3 spot in the order, and O'Flaherty in the pitcher spot takes over. Derek Lowe, brilliant in 7 innings of work. And O'Flaherty gets a strikeout to start the 8th inning.
Pretty good looking breaking ball from this somewhat veteran left-hander. It's his 4th year in the major leagues. He's been in parts of 3 different seasons with the Seattle Mariners. He was in 56 games a couple of years ago. He takes care of the Reds' best hitter, no problem there.
There's Brandon Phillips. Brandon taken out of the number 4 spot by Dusty Baker 3 games ago, and 3 for 7 in 2 games from the 6th spot. There's a shot, but fouled on the right field line. Back in the 4-hole, 0 for 3 today. Bounce to first, fly to center, bounce to first. And don't forget tonight's Mega Million jackpot up to $181 million. Buy a ticket today. To the right side. Kochman has it, and quickly 2 outs here in the 8th. There's Jay Bruce, leadoff double in the 2nd. The only offense for the Reds came in the 2nd. The Bruce double, then 1 out later, Alex Gonzalez, his first home run of the year, and it was a 6-2 game at that count. After that, Bruce struck out and walked. You call it a work in progress. That's the Reds offense for this year. Dusty Baker, Brooke Jacoby trying to milk as much as they can out of a lineup that's been struggling to get on, get over, and get them in. That was the most amazing thing about the road trip, Chris, with the exception of a few instances. The Reds were able to win on a road trip where they struggled offensively. And here they're struggling again this afternoon. 1, 2, 3 for Flaherty. At the top of the 9 we go. Reds trail 10-2. for the Braves on this day. In the first inning, Yunel Escobar double. That plates a run, and then Chipper Jones chimes in with a single down the right field line. 2-0 Braves have the lead. In the second, Escobar a base hit makes it 3-0. Then Chipper dials deep, 410 for his career, his third career homer off Arroyo, and it's 6-0. Alex Gonzalez, first homer of the year, pulls the Reds to within 6-2. That's the only offense the Reds have. Then in the sixth, the double by David Ross makes it 7-2, and Escobar completes a pretty good day on this day for him. His homer makes it 9-2. Add another double in the eighth inning and tack on another run, and it's 10-2. The end result: 10 runs, 10 hits for Atlanta. For the Reds, 2 runs, 4 hits, and 2 errors for Cincinnati. Arroyo 5 2/3, 9 hits, 9 runs, all earned, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. And Derek Lowe in control, 7 innings, allowed only 4 hits and 2 runs. Here's Paul Yanish takes over at shortstop. Encarnacion, Yanish, Phillips, Votto across the infield, Dickerson in left, Darnell McDonald in center, Bruce in right, Hannigan still behind the plate. If you joined us late, top of the start of the third inning, bottom of the third, Jerry Hairston Jr. called out on strikes. He was ejected by Mike Estabrook, the home plate umpire. Encarnacion's throw there in time, and Dusty Baker, coming out to protect his player, got ejected also. And don't forget the best sports show period, the greatest nightly sports show on TV. Weeknights presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. It's the best sports show period right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Omar Infante retired on the ground ball. Here's Kochman, Casey. 1 for 4. Single, flied out, struck out, and robbed of a base hit on a diving stop by Jay Bruce in the outfield. This one will be in the right field for a base hit. Yunel Escobar, 3 for 4 and hit by a pitch. Single, double, and home run. 4 runs batted in for Escobar. And Chipper Jones, those 2 hits, the homer and the single. 4 runs batted in for Chipper. Broken bat into center. Jeff Francoeur has a base hit. One out, 2 on, and here comes Matt Diaz. Yanish, the second, and they'll turn the double play and get out of the inning. So 2 hits, no harm for Lincoln in the inning. Reds go to work. Last roundup time going to the 9th. Tonight's baseball on Fox Sports Ohio being brought to you by Donato's. Get 2 single-topping extra-large bakery pizzas for just $19.99. Tax and delivery extra. Only at participating Donato's. And by John Deere. Visit your local Cincinnati John Deere dealer. Well, everything about this day pleasant except for the scoreboard. Temperatures in the 80s both yesterday and today here in Cincinnati. And the numbers tell the story of this one. 10 runs, now 12 hits for the Braves. 2 runs, only 4 hits for Cincinnati. Derek Lowe, the pitcher of record on the smiling side of the scoreboard. He went 7. Eric O'Flaherty pitched the 8th. And here's Jeff Bennett. He goes to work in the 9th inning trying to clean it up.
28-year-old right-hander who last year had a big year for the Braves. He pitched in 97 innings out of the bullpen, covering 72 ball games. Back in for game number 9. He is a workhorse. He's got a pretty tidy earned run average down around 1, despite the fact that he's given up 2 base runners per inning.
Have a different schedule for the Reds and the Braves this year. In the last few years, the Reds and Braves have only played 1 series in each city. This year, the Braves come here in April. Then they're back again in June for a midweek series. June 16, 17, and 18. And then the Reds will not head to Atlanta until September, the 4th, 5th, and 6th.
It'll still be nice and toasty down there then for you, George.
The hope is both teams will still be in contention by then. Off the fist, scoop by Infante. They'll get Edwin. And Encarnacion retired. Edwin 0 for 4, 3 ground outs and a fly ball out. One of those days for this Reds offense.
One of those many days, unfortunately. But Chris Spire acting as a manager now with Dusty Baker in the manager's office watching. Ejected from the game. You know, you've seen this same scenario an awful lot. If you give the other team 5 runs or more, you're out of luck. I mean, when this ball club has won ball games, it has been lights out from the pitching staff.
And from an offensive standpoint, when you manage the Reds of 2009, you're trying to stay close early. If you get down by 5, 6 runs, knowing that you don't have the home run power you've had in years past, makes your chances of coming back that much slimmer. Here's Paul Janisch first at bat.
The Reds have only had 4 hits, and 3 of them came in the 2nd inning. Ryan Hannigan hit a little bloop double down the left field line in the 5th. Since that time, they have been without.
On the board thanks to Alex Gonzalez, first homer of the year, a 2-run shot after a Jay Bruce double in the 2nd. Missing inside, 3-1. Tomorrow, Reds live at 12:30. Michael Owings gets the start against Kawakami. Down at Louisville, the Bats losers to Toledo last night. Adam Rosales, 2 more hits, including a double and a run scored. 407 for Adam, 4 home runs. Matt Maloney, the Bats lost the game 5-4 and 10. Maloney was brilliant. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, no walks, 7 strikeouts. People have asked the question, is it time to bring Adam Rosales up? Number one, the question is, where do you play him? And number two, what will he give you offensively? What will he give you on the ball club? You know, one thing, he'll give you energy, and that's something that you saw from the outset when he put on a Reds uniform.
Well, you know, the problem of bringing a guy up is exactly where do you play him? I mean, the two guys that are struggling the most on this ball club, one is batting in the 4 spot, but he was a Gold Glove winner last year in Brandon Phillips. So are you going to bring up a minor leaguer who really can't play second base to take his spot? The answer is no. You signed Edwin Encarnacion to a 2-year deal in the offseason. He's batting $145 right now. Do you bring up Rosales, who, you know, is having a good year in AAA, but still, you know, Derek Lowe doesn't pitch in AAA. So you're going to face different pitchers up here. You can't expect Rosales to have the same kind of go of it up here as he's had down in AAA. So I think the only option for the Reds is to stick with what you've got and hope that these guys reach their level, which they will.
And realistically, Chris, if you look at Adam Rosales, where does he fit into the Reds' plan? He looks like an ideal bench player who gives you energy when he comes off the bench for short stints at different positions.
Well, he had a good spring, too. So it's not like he's only had a nice bloom here in the month of April in the International League.
Tough base hit for Giannis. Here's Hannigan. Ryan 2 for 2 and a walk, a single and a double. Bennett falls behind 2-0, and Ross will go out and talk to him. That's a strike. Nick's on deck for Cincinnati. Bounce it down to second. They'll get one. Return to first won't be in time. So Nick's with 2 away. He'll come to the plate. Solid shot through the middle. Nix will have a base hit. Lance struck out last time up. Second at bat gets a single to center. So 2 on, 2 out. Back to the top of the order. It's Chris Dickerson. Dickerson, 3 strikeouts and a fly ball out 0 for 4. Ramon Hernandez behind him in the on-deck circle with the pitcher spot due up next, so Dickerson can keep it alive. This is one of those Pete Rose gut check at bats, Chris. You go 0 for 4 and 3 strikeouts. You have a ball glance off your glove in the outfield. End the day on a positive note.
Well, he's obviously not seeing the ball, George. He struck out a couple of times last night, and he just looks like he doesn't have his plan working right now.
Wide for ball 2-1.
Lowe can do that to you. I mean, you think you go up there with a game plan, all of a sudden you actually see the pitches come out of his hands. You can't believe how much they sink. You're on top of it. You swing and miss it. You second guess yourself. You take some of your outfield problems to your plate appearances with you, and it kind of is a cycle that you can't get out of.
Yeah, that kind kind of a day, and how apropos. That's the way it ends for the Reds. Mike Estabrook, who didn't make many fans in the Reds dugout on this day, gets the final strikeout call here in the 9th inning. Derek Lowe, brilliant on this day. He gets a win. The Braves do too. 10 runs, 12 hits, no errors for Cincinnati.